Coming up on today's show, we're going to break down some New York Knicks trade candidates at all types of different tiers. But first, we are less than 100 subscribers away from 3,000. So if you want fun, entertaining, and informative Knicks coverage, the solution to that is simple. Hit that red subscribe button down below. Let's hop into today's show. New York, stand up. You're watching New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Coming your way on today's show, we're going to take a look at some Knicks trade candidates in all types of different tiers. Superstars, role players, etc. So without further ado, let's get it started. So the Knicks right now off to a 10-8 start to start the 2021-2022 campaign, but 5-5 in their last 10 games. So really, to start the year, I was impressed with the Knicks, and then that production has fallen off to a certain degree for a varying degree of different reasons. The starters haven't really played all that well. Evan Fournier has struggled to find a form of consistency. Kemba Walker has really just been okay, and that defense has been good on some nights, bad on some other nights. But last night, in front of a national audience, thought the Knicks played really well against the LeBron-less Los Angeles Lakers, coming through with a victory. They were able to build that 25-point lead. Emmanuel quickly, Obi Toppin, Evan Fournier finally playing well. But the reason that we're talking about some New York Knicks trade candidates on today's show is because I think the Knicks might need to make some moves with this roster, because I'm just not sure, as currently constructed, they're going to be able to make a deep run in the Eastern Conference. So the website, the Knicks Wall, I thought did a pretty good job at looking at some potential trade candidates and looked at them in all types of different tiers, which I thought was very, very interesting. So shout out to them. Let's first take a look at these trade tiers and how they broke down these different types of trade candidates. Tier 1, superstar-ish types of players. Tier 2, quality starters. And Tier 3, role players. Let's first take a gander at some of these superstars in that first tier. You're looking at the likes of Damian Lillard, Karl-Anthony Towns, as well as Ben Simmons. Now, the haters will say, oh, this channel's a joke. They talk about trade rumors that are never going to happen. The reality is, if you own or direct a business, you are always looking forward as to ways you can improve. And realistically, all of these players that we're talking about could be available on the NBA trade market. Let's take a look at what Damian Lillard has done this year. He's the most popular name, and he's been linked to the Knicks in the past because he himself has said that playing at MSG is his favorite arena to compete in. And the Knicks have shown some interest in Dame, and I think they will continue to if Damian Lillard does decide to request a trade out of Portland. Now, his numbers this year down a lot. Offensive production hasn't been the same. A lot of these shooters are blaming that on the change of the basketball, and it's led to a lot of field goal and shooting percentages in general taking a nosedive. But this year, he's starting to get better of late, 22 points per game. Second highest career in assist numbers for Dame, averaging almost 8 dimes per night. The field goal percentage at 40+, three-point percentage at 30+. Those numbers have to get better by a lot. As for Karl-Anthony Towns, he's been stuck in purgatory in Minnesota. It's really unfortunate because he's really good as a two-way player and as a big man who has versatility to his game, can stretch it out to the three-point arc. Nobody really knows how good he's been, though, because he's played for the Timberwolves, who have been a joke for a long time, really since ever Kevin Garnett left. 23 points per game this year for Cat, 9 boards, 50.5% from the field. But what I'm looking at here, three-point percentage. For a big man, that size, that ilk, he can put the ball on the floor a little bit. 45%, that forces defenders to cross him and face him out at the three-point arc, and then he can kind of blow by them or use his body to get past them. Ben Simmons, a mercurial, very curious superstar who nowadays I guess is somewhat controversial. I still think he has a lot of value for a couple of reasons. His vision is really, really elite. He's got great size and athleticism. I think he's the best defender in the league. The problem with Ben Simmons is that his offensive game is really flatlined because, in my opinion, he's never taken onus and he's never done the necessary things to improve his offensive craft. Rookie year, year 4 comparison. 16 points per game as a rook, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 54.5% from the floor, 56% free throw shooter. And then last year, he took some offensive sacrifices, but the numbers went down in terms of points per game, in terms of rebounds per game, assists per game. Field goal percentage went up. And yeah, free throw percentage in the regular season did increase, but in the playoffs and in that second round series against the Atlanta Hawks, my man was struggling to knock down 30% of his free throws. That right there is really, really bad. As for Damian Lillard, he's my favorite one of these Tier 1 superstars who the Knicks could realistically trade for. I think if you bring in Dame, and if things go poorly in Portland, I do think a trade could be in play. Right now, probably not. Damian Lillard would electrify the Garden. And this is a franchise, a proud franchise at that has had a plethora of superstar players. Damian Lillard would be among the best of all of the players to rock a Knicks uniform. And he is just tremendous with his ability to really encapsulate the moment, really capture the attention of the crowd. And he's a walking bucket as soon as he crosses half court. And those skills from him putting the biscuit in the basket, exactly what the New York Knicks need right now on this team. So choose one of these Tier 1 players who we just discussed among Damian Lillard, Ben Simmons, and Karl-Anthony Towns. Be sure to get those votes in the comment section down below. Type D if you want Dame the most. Type B if you want Simmons the most, or if you'd rather go with Karl-Anthony Towns because the Knicks could use a big man with some versatility, a floor stretcher who can also shoot. You can get into the comment section and type K. I'm going Dame 1, Karl-Anthony Towns 2, and Ben Simmons 3 among those three. And moving ahead on today's show, we're going to continue to look at some of these other trade candidates, again, who are really all realistic if the Knicks do want to pull a trigger to shake up this roster just a bit. If you like our content here on New York Knicks Now, you're going to like our content on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. If you go to youtube.com/chatsportstv, make sure you subscribe there because we continue to kill the game and nobody's doing what we're doing here at Chat Sports. We're not Big J journalists. We're not blog boys. We like to have fun. We like to inform you, but also entertain and just be relatable types of people and talk hoops, regardless of if it's a rumor, breaking news, or news item. So if you like our content here, you're going to like our content on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. You see that link down below. We're approaching 270,000 subscribers as the most interactive YouTube channel out there. So, hey, subscribe and join the family of almost 270,000 subscribers. We move ahead to these quality starter tiers, and I think these names are pretty intriguing as well. Myles Turner, according to many reports over the last several months, is a name that the Knicks have kept an eye on. Buddy Hield, could he get dealt because the Sacramento Kings are a dumpster fire and they just fired Luke Walton? Could they shake up that roster? If so, Buddy Hield could be expendable. And I think a lot of people across the NBA, fans, execs, coaches, players, they're sleeping on Dejounte Murray, who with the San Antonio Spurs this year, averaging 18 points per game, a 3-level scorer who can create a lot. In fact, I look at this Knicks team right now, I think they might need a point guard because Kemba Walker just might not be the same player. Dejounte Murray at an affordable price, that's pretty good value if you think about how to operate a business. Now, this tier is dependent on a couple of things. Mainly for me, it's dependent on what exactly you want and what Leon Rose thinks that this roster needs. If it's a big man, Myles Turner can probably be had because the Indiana Pacers might be sellers as we move forward toward the NBA trade deadline. If you want a shooter, Buddy Hield is a guy with a lot of volume there, although, man, I watched them play the Sixers the other night. Sixers were without 4 starters, and Buddy Hield was just trying to play hero ball, chucking up deep threes late in that game. I didn't like what I saw there, but percentage-wise, he's been a really efficient three-point shooter. Dejounte Murray's pretty good, too. I might side with him. Your opportunity, though, to sound off on this. Who do you want among these three guys as we continue to challenge you with these questions? MT for Myles Turner, BH for Buddy Hield, DM for Dejounte Murray. Let me know right now. Also, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. A lot of people have been in the comment section and they're like, Chase, I see you at Chat Sports just grinding, hustling, putting that work in. You are a content daddy. It's their words, not mine. I'm just going by what the people are calling me. So if you like my content, you want to give me a follow and interact with me on Twitter and Instagram, you see that handle down below. And if you want to call me content daddy, hey, go ahead. As for these role player tiers, other guys who might be available via trade. Kevin Huerter with the Atlanta Hawks. Yes, he signed that contract extension this offseason, but the Hawks are off to a little bit of a slow start. Where does he figure in their future plans? Eric Gordon and the Houston Rockets have one solo win. Yes, that's right. One solo win up to this point in the regular season. It's bad, and he probably wants a trade because in the offseason there were some rumblings about that. And then Terrence Ross, I thought he was going to get dealt leading up to last NBA trade deadline. He's on the Orlando Magic, and I think the Magic, if they want to get a nice little young asset back, they trade away one of their veterans in Terrence Ross, a guy who can really go on a heater coming off the bench and be that flamethrower, which I think the Knicks could really need. These are all impact players here. Huerter can shoot it, Eric Gordon can shoot it, and if you want to score off the bench who can be somewhat streaky, Terrence Ross is that guy as well. And again, all of this comes down to what the Knicks think that they need. If they want to mortgage the farm and give up a bunch of assets, we're talking about those Tier 1 players. Something else that can make an impact, Tier 2 guys. Or if they want some bench options or fringe starters, those are the guys that we're talking about with Huerter, Gordon, and Ross. Among these three players, who do you like the most? Type KH for Kevin Huerter, type EG for Eric Gordon, TR for Terrence Ross. If you made it this far in the video and you're like, man, these guys ask a lot of questions. We love our audience interaction. That's a big reason why we've been able to grow so much. And as always, thanks for watching New York Knicks Now today and making the show a part of your day.